America was from taking Black Indigenous people off their land. I mean, it is astonishing. We got to see and live.
Hey lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Strana. Thank you so much for all the love and support. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP. So lovelies. Where to put together. Please leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video, and please don't forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We're just here for educational and informative purposes. So lovelies, let's dive into it.
Let's talk Katrina, specifically the weirdos behind it. I want to say right out the gate that Ryan Coogler and his pen, definite tools of the Most High. The way that this documentary was captured and archived and organized, it was truly eye-opening. Of course, I already knew America was shitty, specifically the companies and the white men in smelly suits, and the people who steal a shit ton of money from the public. I guess you guys call them CEOs. Being able to see in a clear and concise picture just how focused America was from taking Black Indigenous people off their land, I mean, it is astonishing. We got to see in living color just how relentless this government and its Zio sugar daddies are in taking people off of their land. I mean, literally full ownership of the land. That's what they want. That's what this whole catastrophe was about. The land. The Black Indigenous land. What's happening in the Middle East now is no different from what they did to the people in New Orleans, the people in Maui, the people in North Carolina, the people of the LA fires. It's always a land grab. I love that this documentary detonates the myth of American innocence. It exposes the intentional harm deemed necessary by selfish gain. New Orleans wasn't drowned by water. It was drowned by the state, by corporate greed, by the slow, calculated silence of white supremacy managing its optics. The levees weren't even neglected, they were armed with explosives. Black bodies were trapped, starved, and gunned down for no reason, just trying to survive. Racism wasn't even the whole reason behind the abandonment. Racists curated the abandonment. Racists orchestrated the disaster and then released the entire plot like a scene. Then blamed the victims for not swimming through gator-infested waters. The helicopters that were flying above, they weren't even there to help people. They were there to surveil and capture the event. Disgusting. They sent tanks and armed guards instead of food to a partially flooded city. Seriously. I mean, you could ask anyone, but that sounds like occupation versus rescue operations, right? They even used the Superdome as a mass containment zone. They created a visual spectacle only to manipulate the white people into believing that this is what happens when you govern yourself. They bombed the levees in the 20s. You really think that they accidentally failed in 2005? Come on. This ain't new. It's just filmed now. I mean, really, this documentary truly is a weapon. We should treat it like one. We should caption our posts, "They didn't forget New Orleans. They planned it." And then we should probably organize like the levees will fail again, because they will. We should also probably prepare ourselves for weak, scary-ass skinheads with swastika tattoos who only pew-pew black men in the back because they can't even face them. We should all do our part as American citizens to make sure that this shit doesn't happen again. Thank you, Ryan.
I've been seeing a lot of talk about Hurricane Katrina lately, and that's great. I'm glad that we're finally talking about what actually happened there. But something that I never hear anyone mention when talking about Katrina is this guy right here, because he is a true hero that never gets recognition. It had been 2 days since Hurricane Katrina had devastated the city of New Orleans. The amount of people that were in need of rescue after the hurricane hit was astronomical. As we know, the Superdome was being opened up as a shelter for displaced residents, but they actually had such an overflow of people that now had no homes to return to that the Astrodome all the way in Houston, Texas, began opening its doors to house people. As you may have already heard in documentaries about Katrina, helicopters and boats, all of the recovery efforts in the first few days of flooding were going right on past the predominantly black neighborhoods in New Orleans. People were stuck sleeping on their roofs and in their attics with no food, no water, no electricity, with their children in tow and all. And most of them had no option. They relied on public transportation and didn't have a vehicle to leave even if they wanted to evacuate. So this this man, 20-year-old Jabbar Gibson, began to formulate a plan to get out. He had been stuck inside of his complex for 2 days with no food or water and began to hear reports that neighboring areas were being swallowed whole by floodwaters. He went searching for a way out and came across a barn with a bunch of abandoned school buses inside. Now, Jabbar didn't even have his license to drive, but he knew what he needed to do. So he drove the Orleans Parish school bus back to his complex and loaded up as many people as possible onto it. What's crazy is that even though he was doing the right thing, police still showed up, made everyone get off the bus, and told Jabbar to hand over the keys. Thankfully, Jabbar's mother was able to convince officers that now is not the right time. Don't you guys have better things to be doing? And from there, Jabbar transported 70 people, 13 hours to the Houston Astrodome, and his bus was the first to arrive.
This was not just a natural disaster. This was not just a hurricane. This was the fucking purge. And it was all preventable. And all of the negligent decisions were directed towards a certain demographic. But anyways, here's the video that I had made originally. I was flashing up because I'll be honest, go watch some of this shit. It's fucking sickening. So what's up? Y'all gonna start treating this shit like it was 9/11? Because that's how it really fucking was. And wait until you realize when you do your homework that they did that shit on fucking purpose. That shit was all fucking planned. And if you really look, like, you don't have to even look between the lines, like, you fucking see it. Like, but really go look in and try to look it through the conspiracy shit. It's not a conspiracy though. What I'm trying to tell you is, like, they did this shit on fucking purpose. Look how it was no white people either. And nobody want to talk about that. Y'all love to, man, I'm not from New Orleans, but you know what? Y'all love New Orleans so much. Y'all love New Orleans. But whenever, like the bounce music, the tripping out, the Drake songs, all this shit, you know what I'm saying? Go see what these people actually been through. That's some real shit. Always known that there was some, like, Bush did 9/11 type shit when it comes to Hurricane Katrina and how the levees broke and the whole design of them bitches and how no other countries, they wasn't accepting the help from other countries that was pleading. Like, dude, don't let me get fucking started on the people that's supposed to be fucking EMS, firefighters or whatever, arming themselves like they fucking dealing with animals. These people was desperate and they was fucking, I know people that's EMS, that's real life responders like that. Boy, that's a fucking But anyways, all I'm saying is, go look it up and do your fucking homework about it and see how fucking corrupt and wicked and fuck. Just go look for yourself. Everybody's talking about it for a reason because that shit is evil. And they did that shit on purpose.
New Hurricane Katrina documentary, they kind of do a deep dive on that town that was across the Mississippi River that people weren't allowed to go to. And I've always thought it was on some like they don't want us here type of thing. But this documentary kind of goes into the black people that were living in that town at the time and their experiences. And they were saying, like, we had no food, we had no water. Yeah, we didn't have flooding, but like it was a war zone in itself. And what a lot of the black people were saying was that they were being targeted by the white people in that community. And there was somebody who was shot and killed. His body ended up being burned in the back of a vehicle because I don't know if it was a police officer or some white person just thought he was doing like, I don't even know. Like, I genuinely don't even know. It's so mind blowing. And they had videos of these firefighters that were supposed to be going to the bridge and they were saying like, they were getting their shotguns loaded, talking about, we're gonna shoot first, ask questions later, like talking about animals, bro, like animals. And this documentary does a really good job kind of detailing how the media really fueled in a time where we think we know what misinformation is now. Back then, everything coming out about Hurricane Katrina was misinformation. That's what this documentary is telling me, like everything. And so in some breaths, I sit here and I'm like, man, it would have been a blessing for those people to be able to go to that town. But in the same point, it almost gave me like relief, and not, but in a bigger picture sense, that they weren't able to go over there. Because imagine what would have happened. Imagine all of these fucking white people that were giving Triple K vibes on some like just dumbass shit. Imagine having like crowds of black men and women, and also like there were white people that lived in those areas in New Orleans. Obviously not many, but it is crazy to me that you can be so integrated with another culture And yet when a time comes like that, you're not looking at that person across the street as your neighbor. You're looking at them as like, oh, is that somebody from across the bridge? Like, how did they get here? And it's like, that's goddamn Bob. That's Bob who delivers your fucking mail every day, who lives 3 doors down. And you can't tell the fucking difference, you know? A whole nother thing, but that's been my takeaway. In that new Hurricane Katrina documentary, they kind of do a deep dive on that town that was across the Mississippi River that...
There's some more shit about Hurricane Katrina that I'm embarrassed that I didn't know up until today. Do you guys know that the entire Gulf Coast got hit? And there were entire towns in Mississippi that were fucking completely underwater, decimated. It looked like a bomb went off. The storm itself didn't directly impact New Orleans. It did directly hit and impact Mississippi. Specifically, Bay St. Louis is where it made landfall. The winds were up to 120 to 130 miles an hour. They reported like 28 feet of storm surge, which is the highest ever recorded during that time. They said the waves were like 55 feet. I'm going to attach a couple of images now just to show you what the devastation was like. There were fucking casinos that were leveled. In my research, there was casinos that went into buildings, just completely took out home. It looks like a tornado went through or went off. Some areas, like I live a mile from the beach here at home in New Jersey. The waves didn't just come in the coastal areas. It went 6 fucking miles inland. That storm surge traveled 6. Can you imagine the power a storm must have had to be able to level entire communities and neighborhoods 6 miles away from the ocean, the bay, what have you? And because of all the government forced chaos in New Orleans, these people were like completely overlooked in a lot of the relief efforts and the aftermath of the storm. Like when I tell you that entire bridges were gone, people couldn't get out of their communities, the level of destruction was unlike anything I've ever seen. And they were kind of just left to fend for themselves. And what was interesting in my research is I noticed that a lot of the communities were also Black, Indigenous, and working class or poor white people. The governor of Mississippi was super close with George Bush, so they did get a lot of funding after the storm. I think it was about $5.4 billion in HUD funding. Now the issue with that is, did they use them to build up these communities that were destroyed? No. Now I do remember in the documentary, the governor of Mississippi and George Bush were buddies, and there was a high-level legislator in the state that was also super close with the president. So Mississippi did get a lot of funding. They got $5.4 billion in funding to use for aid and aftermath and everything else. The problem was they did not use it to rebuild those poverty or Black and Indigenous neighborhoods. They used them to build more casinos, to basically tried to gentrify that area as well. And their governor was a former political lobbyist. So he went to his cronies in Washington and said, this is okay, right? I'm going to use this to go put it all back into tourism and casinos and everything else, instead of rebuilding these neighborhoods and helping these people that just lost everything. And they said, yeah, it's cool. Do what you got to do, man. Get the fuck out of here. Relief wise was pretty similar to New Orleans. It took a really long time for people to get there. They struggled for months and if not years to rebuild. I've had so many people in my comments talking about this and trying to get the story out there, and just like their area has never and will never ever be the same. There are still blocks leveled, entire communities washed away and gone. There's just so much to learn if you start to look. Lake Lanier is next because I had no idea about that.
I was just watching clips of the Hurricane Katrina new series that's out, and I don't know if I can watch it yet right now. I was just like weeping and sobbing, like thinking about what people had to survive through, how many people and animals didn't survive. I can remember like living in West Virginia as a kid. Every day they would show us the wind
the wind and the water and like what it was doing to the communities. As soon as people were allowed to go there, my grandparents went there. They stayed there as long as possible. My grandma worked for Habitat for Humanity. She stayed there as long as possible, building houses with my grandpa. And I saw a comment of somebody say like this just reminds me that like nobody's ever coming to save you, but like the community, the way that it like built itself back up, like we will always save each other. And I hate crying on the internet, but I think it's really important to remember that like we will always save each other. There are like still good people in the world, like even though there was so much pain and trauma, it's really important to remember like you're actually not alone. Like there's people that mourn for you, that like me, hello, I mourn for you, and you're never alone, and your stories matter. Oh my god, feels like my civic duty as like a pop culture reporter to talk about this, but like you're never alone, and we mourn with you, we mourn for you. And holy shit, that's just like too much to even like, if you survive that, I love you and I'm so proud of you. Oh my god, that's just wow, crazy.
I just wanted to say, seeing all the Katrina content on TikTok is crazy. I remember being a kid and hearing so much about Katrina, and I knew it was a big storm, right? And then I grew up and it kind of fades off. Like, oh, well, yeah, Katrina happened. Like, it pops up occasionally, right? But now it's been revisited, rightfully so, on TikTok. And I've been hearing all these fucked up stories and just how bad it could really get. And now I understand, as an adult, why people are saying George Bush do not care about black people. I'm hearing all of these crazy stories, you know, some stories about heroes, but some stories about how fucked up the government really treated black people during Katrina. I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. We all know. I'm hearing stories about the Superdome. I think the Superdome is still up. They need to tear that shit down. Okay, I'm being a bit too radical when I say that. Obviously, for logistic reasons and money reasons, they're not going to tear down a fucking stadium because of sentiments of, you know, Katrina. I get that. I get it. But the shit that went on in there, oh my god. The humanity. And I don't mean humanity as in like a good connotation. I just mean it in a like, holy shit, what we are capable of doing to each other if we are put in certain circumstances. That's actually one of like my biggest fears and shit. Like, you know, when it comes to horror movies, I'm not scared of slasher movies. I'm not scared of monsters and shit. I'm scared of humanity. What humanity would actually act like if we're put in certain situations. That's what I'm scared of. Because we have this illusion that, you know, usually everyday life, you know, we have houses, we have, you know, schools and, you know, jobs to go to and shit, right? But if you put humanity or a group of people, a large group of people in a certain circumstance that is just dire and stressful, like, let's see what happens. That's my biggest fear. It's just like, fuck, that's scary. I encourage people to keep posting about Katrina, because this needs to be known. This is one of the most horrific tragedies in the United States, if not the world, of how, because Katrina could have been better, like, taken care of, in my opinion. I'm starting to hear, I don't know how true this is, but I'm starting to hear that 90 countries offered to help with Katrina, but the United States shunned them away. Now, maybe it was for certain reasons. I'm not trying to immediately defend the government, but there's always like nuances and shit, and you have to do your own research and all that jazz. There's always like some explanation, but if there's not for this one, then why the fuck did the government do that? Anyways, I just wanted to talk about Katrina. I just felt like it's appropriate to talk about it right now, and just fuck, that's scary.
Lovely is, you know, I said I was gonna stage to know what white people have to say about this Katrina documentary that is trending all over the social platform, and I was able to do that. All of the social platforms. The thing is that having all emotional breakdowns, meltdowns, you know, and I decided that I was just gonna see what, you know, Pensacola people have to say about this. Because when people that looks like me keep on complaining, you know, trying to let the world know how unjust some of these people are towards people that looks like me, it's as if People that looks like me complains a lot. Most especially, they come with this phrase of, "Oh, Ray insists does not resist." What are you talking about? I think Ray and sis and what have you are complaining about is something that happened um 400 or 500 years ago. They are so eager to discharge you anytime you want to complain about the oppression, because the hurricane Katrina is actually an eye opener to a lot of people who do not even know about it. I don't even know about it, but when I saw the clips of this documentary, I was like, "Do you know that human being like woman, human being are just so wicked?" You know, these guys purposely do whatsoever they did because they want to reduce, or they want to like get rid of people that looks like me. That is why even these recent hurricanes or flooding that is happening is even something that one need to think through. Because if these people can do such a thing and try to, change narrative, like, it's so obvious that what is in the documentary is not what was told that really happened. It's not what was told in school. It's so very obvious. you know when I saw that videos, the short clip on one of my mutuals, I was so devastated. I wasn't able to sleep. I was just thinking. I said, how can human being be so cruel to a fellow human being? Because when you are, I'm someone that when I want to do something to someone, which I don't even plan to, I try to put myself in this person's shoe. When I see someone suffering, I try to put myself in this person's shoe. Like, do you know how it feels? How it feels when you are in a situation whereby you know that, oh, this situation is just going to take me. This situation is going to take me. And you know that no help is coming. You know that it is your last. This is your last. Oh my God. And it is that human being does this to a fellow human being. To tell you that, oh my God, these people, what am I even saying? If they can enslave and humiliate people that are just like me, what even makes you think that they cannot do such again? And exactly the same reason why they want to put out history from school, because it says that when history is being taught in school, it gives an avenue for it not to repeat itself. But these guys will make everything possible to remove most of these things in school, to remove, or not even, or even if they want to, they will try to whitewash it, because they have an intention of repeating it. That is why I said that this hurricane, Katrina, the way at which it's been documented, is just like the Lake Lena. I told the story of the Lake Nino in my other stage, where I talked about black people reacting to it. The same thing. Go to this black neighborhood on a live, or on a live, floor them and make it a lake. Make it a lake. There's a comment I saw where somebody, one of the survivors, she was like, one of her teacher knew that she came from this the side in which this Katrina took place, that every time the teacher will always tell her to write an essay about Katrina, write an essay just to taunt her, just to torment her. Like, seriously, they just like it, and to mock you and say to your face that, okay, we are the ones in charge. That is why I was like, when I saw this, I thought that, okay, I just want to know what people that, particular people have to say about this, so that they can see when people like just like me complains about how unjust the system is towards everyone that looks like me. They shouldn't talk about how black people are making it up. They shouldn't try to like, oh my God, what are you talking about? Oh my God, racism actually existed 400 500 years ago. Anytime I want to complain, even when I stitch, I see some commentaries, oh my God, you're just trying to talk about it. Is still happening, because if it's not talked about, it will keep happening. It's even because it's been talked about, that's why it's as if it's in reduction. Even though racism has come back in full right now about because of this new administration. But it's just that people that looks like me are standing tall. They are standing on their foot. They cannot tolerate any form of disrespect anymore, no matter from who, coming from anyone. And I am in so support of that. I'm in support of it. Anyway, lovelies, wanna just leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We're just here for educational and informative purposes. So, lovelies, if you've not subscribed, do your girl a huge favor to click on the subscription button, like, and I will see you, lovelies, when I upload the next one. To click on the subscription button, like, and I will see you, lovelies, when I upload